Welcome to another edition of INN CEO Talks. Today, I'm joined by Peter Reitano, the CEO of Gwella. The world of fungi and plant medicines is vast and full of promise. Peter, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You know, this sector that you're in is showing massive upside. Why is it in particular mushrooms right now are the hottest food trend?
Yeah, there's a confluence of factors going on. I mean, for one, adaptogens and functional mushrooms have seen a real kind of growing uptick over the last, I would call it 10 or so years. But the last 2 years, certainly, we've really seen a lot of brands come through and a lot of consumer interest. And that's because we're just finding a lot more out about these mushrooms and what they can do. Of course, in the East, a lot of this knowledge has already been there and people have been using them for hundreds and thousands of years. But in the West, it's relatively new phenomenon. So we're learning what they can do. We're learning about these natural support tools. And at the same time, consumers are demanding more products that are healthier, that can support their health on a day-to-day basis, that maybe aren't always kind of pharmaceutical style products. And so, these two converging factors, consumers getting more and more interested in these kind of health and wellness supports, whilst we're getting more and more data about what these mushrooms can actually do, has meant we're seeing this, incredible rise in interest, both on the consumer side, but also the investor side, and brands blowing up and public companies blowing up. So very happy to be involved in the space because it's doing a lot of good, but also very happy to ride the wave on the investment and financial side.
So much of what we've heard about mushrooms, and in particular in their relationship to psilocybin, is that the drug would be used in therapeutic settings, usually with some kind of human interaction or therapy. But what you're saying is that, well, yes, that's true. There's a whole other consumer market around the use of the therapeutic remedies that come from mushrooms. So what's the difference, and what is it that consumers are now saying that they're looking for?
So Gwella is really interested in both functional and kind of psychedelic psilocybin-based mushrooms and how we can use them to support people's wellness and health. Now, you're correct in that, let's call it 2, maybe 3 years ago, when psychedelics started to become a bit more mainstream, certainly in the capital markets, all of the focus was on how do we take these substances and apply them in a clinical setting to help people with serious health conditions. We're talking PTSD, alcoholism, things like that. And whilst, I'm really excited about all of those different treatments that are going to come out of this amazing research and all of the suffering that's going to be mitigated, the truth is that these substances have always been used for a lot more than that. They've been used for kind of consciousness raising, people having profound life-changing experiences, people microdosing to improve their kind of cognitive output, their creativity. And so what Gwella thinks is really the medicalization side is the thin end of the wedge in terms of what these mushrooms can do or these substances can do. It's the thin end of the wedge in terms of what regulators will accept. We're seeing more and more destigmatization and deregulation. And it's the thin end of the wedge in terms of what they can do and the total addressable market. So ultimately, our hypothesis and our position is that the largest market is going to be in the personal growth, personal optimization, self-help, wellness side versus just the kind of medicalized angle. Again, taking these substances and applying them to very specific bands in a clinical setting. So that's what Gwella is really working on, is how do we provide people with the tools to be able to use these substances more safely and effectively and responsibly outside of that clinical system. And, we're very early in the game right now, so it's only really just starting to change from a legislation perspective, but you can already see it happening. Now, it's not going to be the same as cannabis and recreational cannabis. There's probably going to be a lot more guardrails around it, but we're very bullish on the fact that, we're going to see a lot more destigmatization, a lot more deregulation, a lot more normalization in the culture, people interested in these things. It's every week you're seeing a new celebrity talk about their ayahuasca trip or their mushroom trip. Or, I remember reading an article a few weeks ago about the pandemic. 1 in 5 young people in London were microdosing. So there's a massive market out there of people using these substances without that much support. And so that's really what Gwella's trying to do. We're trying to produce consumer products, tools, content, education to help people use these substances to get more effect and to get better outcomes. And that's on the functional side and on the psychedelic side.
So on the consumer side, your delivery system, I think, is going to be through your gummies. And do you see that sort of being akin to CBD oil in the marijuana sector, that the consumer will be able to take it, they can microdose, and that they can get that benefit from mindfulness and or their own mental well-being and enhancement?
Yeah, I mean, certainly microdosing is definitely a kind of a wellness type product. So I think CBD is probably a good comparison. When we look at microdosing, really there's a few things that people are looking for when they're doing it. They're looking for mood optimization, modulation. They're looking for kind of increased energy, focus, and cognitive enhancements. And so, you know, our gummy Mojo, which is our flagship product, is a legal version of that. What we tried to do is, and what we have done, I think successfully, is mimic those buckets of effects in a legal platform without the psilocybin. So we've built out the gummy to have a stack of 14 different substances, botanicals, nootropics, some functional mushrooms, some plants, and the combined synergistic effect replicates the reported benefits of microdosing. So that's in the short term. That's out now. You can get it in the US, in Canada. It's driving revenue right now. And in the long term, we're looking to, add in different substances like psilocybin into these stacks where we've already built the brand and we've already built the consumer base.
So where are you at as a company? You talk about the fact that you have a product, you're generating revenue. Tell me about the structure of your company and what your plans are moving forward.
Yeah, so we're 3 years old. The company, we're lean and mean. We're VC backed. We're still private. We're fortunate to have a fantastic investor base with some of the best psychedelic funds in the business. Funds like Ambria Capital, the Conscious Fund, Vice Ventures, Vine Ventures, Paolo Santos. So a really great institutional backing, and then a really great management team of people with experience across, science, branding, marketing, sales, capital markets, and financial advisory. So the company is really well positioned to be a leader in this space. Now, we'll almost certainly be doing another round. We've done 3 rounds thus far. We'll almost certainly be doing another round fairly shortly, probably an extension of our previous round. And that will then give us the growth capital to go out there and really conquer a lot of the retail. Right now, we're selling on direct to consumer very effectively. We're doing a lot of Amazon work. We're in about 30 stores across the US, but the plan is to get that to 1,000 stores by the end of the year, expand it internationally to the UK, to Europe, and to Asia. So that's what we're really looking to do. We've got some great early stage traction. We've got over $1 million run rate revenue coming in. We've got a great path to profitability, which is rare in this space. And so what we're really looking for is that next bit of firepower to get us to the next level.
So what's the opportunity for investors right at the moment? You're not trading, but of course we're talking to people who are investors saying, okay, where's the opportunity for me?
Yeah, I mean, this is, we're early. This is the first innings for us, so the opportunity is pretty big. Like I said, we'll be doing another financing within the next few months, and that's at the stage of the company. We're a single-digit $1 million company. We want to be 100, 200, 300 $million type company. We want to be really up there. We want to be bigger than Four Sigmatic and brands like that. And so it's very early and the opportunity is huge.
And your intention is to go public?
It will be, yes.
Do you have any sense of timing around that at this point?
You know, as I'm sure everybody's aware, the timing this year is interesting. So we're just going to wait and see. We were looking at this year, last year, but I'm pretty glad that we didn't make that move. We're in a great position. We've got great runway. Like I said, we're generating revenue. So for us, it's really right timing. So we're just going to continue building the company. We're going to onboard some more capital, and we'll be in a really strong position come next year.
So for some of those people who might be looking at Gwella saying, okay, I want to be involved in the next round, best for them to visit your website at this point to get that information?
Exactly. We have an investor website, meetgwella.com. That's the best place for the investor information.
Well, I hope you're going to come back and give us updates. This is a very interesting sector that you're in, and I wish you great success.
Thank you very much for having me on today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.